you are children there, you're all singing, but there's a child standing outside of where you are, and they're just looking and watching and smiling. You can tell that they like it, but they haven't engaged yet. So that's emerging. So if that's emerging, what is developing?
That's
Joining the circle.
Joining the circle and trying to engage.
that's what he like started doing. Trying to grab somebody else, like basically guys. Trying to get them their own.
And it's anything with assistance. So it's the next level from emerging. Emerging is where it's just like, okay, I think I may kind of like this. Developing is when let me try it. So they may be singing the songs, but they don't know the words of the songs. So they may have the words all crazy, but they're singing it and you know they like it. And then as the more you provide support in singing the songs, then they'll be at a mastery level. So mastery level is any skill that they can do without assistance. Any skill they can do without assistance. Pottying completely on their own, pulling down their pants, going to the potty, wiping, washing their hands, that's mastery. Developing is still having to have help, that the teacher has to help them either get up on the potty, help them wipe, anything like that, giving them directions. That's still a developing skill for them until they can do it without assistance at all. And so when you're thinking about your lesson plans, you have to think about, you have all of these different skill levels within your group. So you have to be able to identify what all of those skill levels look like, right? Before you start your lesson planning process. So the first activity that we're going to do is this sheet that says linking lesson plans, and it's got the little check. So at your table, I want you all to decide whether you think, and now this, and look at the age group as well, because don't overthink it, because it is about perspective, but don't overthink it. But go in and put whether it's emerging, developing, or a mastered skill beside each of these skills. And then we'll talk about each one, and then we'll move to the next part.
The interest word.
You're just copying.
Okay,
I don't know it.
Which one did you put?
What's supposed to go on? Tell me.
And that's D. That's developing.
Why is not showing interest? They're starting to.
right, because what?
Because they're learning to crawl. That's a part of tummy time. And the teacher has
But
to
they
put
don't
them
have no
on top.
age. So it could be a 4-year-old. It's cool to go on the tummy.
You're overthinking it.
I am.
Yeah, you're overthinking that. Take it as it is worded on the paper. And if there's a specific age group out beside it, it'll say 2-year-old in parentheses, 4-year-old in parentheses. That's what it matters, okay? With the parentheses there. So it's D.
That's emerging.
So please, a 4-year-old that completes it. Oh, yeah. Matters talk. Expressing that they want to write or either hand gestures or words. I put
everything down.
emerging.
That's all I'm
Because
knowing.
that's them.
Which one?
Well, it could be E or D.
I thought it was D.
I thought it was deep trying.
Well, they already, okay, this,
Because they express
anything
word
with, that needs assistance is
they
developing.
want to.
That's not D, that's developing. Developing is assistance. Anything that needs assistance is developing. They don't need help, they're expressing, they're expressing. They're not, you ask
It
them.
says stand up with assistance.
We want the second one. Stand up with assistance.
Stands up with
They gotta be
assistance.
trying.
No, we was talking about that.
Stands with assistance is developing because it's with assistance.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Right.
That's before they want to developing. That's so they're stepping in place.
I'll put that as D.
So you have to wait,
Like, you know, you're moving forward.
Verbalized colors and numbers. Because you have to tell them. That's my D. Expresses that they want to write either through hand gestures or words for a 3-year-old.
D.
It's emerging because they're expressing interest and they haven't learned it yet. So stands up with assistance. Yes, developing. Because it's with assistance. Sits on the potty but nothing happens and continues to be wet or BM. Yes, it's developing because they haven't mastered it yet. Okay, verbalizes and recognizes colors and numbers. Let's say that's a 3 or 4-year-old skill. Verbalizes and recognizes. That'd be mastery because they're doing it. Verbalizes and recognizes. So they're saying it and they see it. So I see that I'm going green. I'm not saying that and saying blue.
Oh, yours says can't.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Mine doesn't say can.
You skipped some.
Oh, which one did? Oh, I did skip down here. Verbalizes colors and numbers, but can't recognize them. Yes, developing. And down here, it's mastery.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Verbalizes desire to sing, but can't say the words for a 3-year-old. Yes, it's developing. Because they're verbalizing and they're singing. So holds a book upside down. Well, for who?
If it's for a, I basically just went off them being able to hold a book in general.
Exactly.
Well, that's what I went off. Because even if their infant is upside down, they're mastering it. If their 2-year-old is upside down, they master holding.
But that's not mastering it. Because if they're going to master it, they've got to hold it upright, like it should be. That's mastering it. I think it is developing because you still have to help them know what is the upside of the book. Infant stands and takes steps without assistance. Yes, mastery. The mastery ones are the easy ones. It gets a little swampy when you are going from emerging to developing. Let's see. We're just going to skip this one because we did it a while ago. Bounces before they hop. D, developing. Yeah. And I think with this one, you could look at it both ways. Right. If they're bouncing and you're looking at it as they can bounce, it's mastery. If you're looking at it before they hop, it's developing. Uses the potty without assistance, no potty accidents. Mastery, yes. Sings with class at circle time, knows the words to each song. Mastery. Tells a story by looking at the pictures for a 4-year-old. Mastery, yes. Because that's part of pre-literacy, is being able to take a book with pictures and tell a story. Smiles as the class sings or reads a story. Emerging, because they're just showing you, hey, I like this, but I don't know what to do with it. Okay. So as you guys are thinking about creating your lesson plan, the next step is I want you to really think about this, and then we're going to add an additional step after we complete this part. So this part is going to take the longest because what you're going to do is you're going to, I'm going to grab my handout really quickly. You are going to, and this is actually an assignment from my master's program. And I actually have my work that I turned in for my assignment as well. So, when you look at this, at the top here, you're going to complete this form. But don't take this form as it appears as to be, oh yeah, 10 minutes, man, I got it. Because that's not the intent. The intent is that this first time you guys complete this form, this should take you guys at least 45 minutes. Because you're not going to be looking at it in the sense that you think. So when you're looking at your developmental skill in your domain, you're going to go to GELDS. You're going to pick your domain. So let's say you choose physical development, and you're going to choose an age. If you work with infant toddlers, choose infant toddlers. If you work with preschool age, choose a preschool age skill. If you're doing family child care, do whichever one you want, because you've got to do them all. So you're going to choose your domain, whether it's physical development, Social, and there are certain things that I do not allow you all to do. You cannot do anything that has to do with mealtime, and you cannot do anything that has to do with physical development as far as gross motor or fine motor. I really want you to think about this. So actually, if I want you to think about it, then I'm going to want you to choose anything. You're going to either choose social emotional development, cognitive development with a subdomain, or you're going to choose approaches to learning. Social, emotional approaches to learning, anything but physical. Because meal is easy. Teaching them to put their clothes on, that's easy. We want something that's going to take your energy to think about. And then you're going to choose this developmental skill, whatever strand that is. So whether it is any one of the individual skills, approaches to learning 1.A, or, whatever that is, you're going to put that developmental skill here. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to forget the exploring, because exploring and emerging are too close together. You're going to go into these 3 boxes, and you are going to give me descriptors about what that skill looks like at an emerging level in that age group, a developing level at that age group, and a mastered level at that age group. So when you're looking at the behaviors on gels, that'll give you some help, because that's going to tell you what you're going to be looking at across for that age that you're looking at, right? And it gets more complicated as it progresses down. Make sense? So let's start there first, and then I'm going to move you to teaching strategies, because teaching strategies are not activities. Teaching strategies are how you're going to do what you're going to do. That's a little bit different than an activity. An activity is I'm going to have them link together 15 chains of different colors, and they're going to sort them. That's an activity. A strategy is, okay, let's see, I've got this song I want to teach them. How am I going to do it? Well, okay, I'm going to put them I'm going to use large group during circle time. That's a strategy. Strategy is how you're going to get them to do what you want them to do. How are you going to get them to learn this skill? And that's always the more complicated one, because people want to give me activities. But your activities are going to go down at the bottom. At curriculum. Environmental strategies is what you have in the classroom already. Because we should always think about what we have in our classroom already, because we don't have to buy things every time. Let's think about what we have currently in our classroom that we can use to support this skill without having to go and buy a whole bunch of pre-made stuff. Because we can also make it ourselves. And so that is environmental strategies. And that's also the changes that you're going to put into your environment. The activities are at the bottom. So if I'm doing dinosaurs, I may make my own dinosaur lacing cards. And I'm going to add my own dinosaur lacing cards. So dinosaur lacing cards would be an environmental strategy if it goes with what I'm trying to teach. But then what I'm trying to teach is also going to match up with what's in these activities. And because you know, your assessment piece comes because you know what it looks like at an emerging, developing, and mastery skill level. Everybody's going, oh gosh, did I just blow your hair back? So what we are asked to do as teachers is high quality teachers are able to use their assessment of the children as a planning tool. So if you already know what this looks like, you're going to already be able to identify the children in your classroom that are at these different levels. So when you're planning activities, you're going to think of an activity that is one activity that you can either scaffold up for those mastery level and challenge them, or you could scaffold it down for the emerging ones, and the main is going to be for the developing ones. Everybody's going, woo. That's why we did this after our break with our snacks, right? So, at your table, I want you all to work together and start by choosing your skill and your domain and what it looks like first. And then when you get that together, call me, I'll come look at it, and then we can go to your instruction, your teaching strategies. How are you going to get where you want to go? Absolutely, yep, I have extras. And just join whichever group you want to join. Lana's going to join any group.
26 or 6.
That's perfect.
Miss Lisa, are we doing the trade domain in our group?
You can, yeah, why not? You can, or, because I think all of you are are you two preschool? So why don't you guys choose a preschool domain, and you guys choose a preschool domain?
Oh, y'all do it congregate. Yeah, I was
The domain is physical, social, emotional. And give the number for give the identification number for your skill assessment. So that when people want to look up your skill. No, you're doing the specific skill under the strand. You're doing a specific skill under the strand. You're not doing a strand because the strand is too broad. You want a specific skill under the strand. If you want to list your strand, you can list your strand with your strand and your skill, but the strand is too broad. Which one are we doing? Y'all doing cognitive? Taylor just asked me to do a strand. So the strand, when you guys are thinking of looking on gels and you're looking at the strand is too broad. If you want to put the strand and then put the skill out beside it, that's better, because the skill is more specific. And you want it to be as specific as possible. I'm going to turn this slide over just a second, okay? So you all can see. That's the domain. Standards. So SED 1 is child will child will engage in sexual expression, child will. So if you to the possible activities, and then we're going to. So what I want you to think about is the curriculum, environmental strategies, and the curriculum activities at the same time. So thinking about what you already have to use, and then thinking about the activities that you're going to use to teach that skill. So as an example for the infants, it may be stacking blocks. That might be one of your activities. And so the possible activities would be here, stacking blocks or whatever. And then the environmental strategies, what's in your classroom, would be here. So they may have soft blocks, whatever kind of blocks they want to stack. That's going to be listed under there in this box. So then after we've done about 5 or 6 activities and put our materials, then we're going to circle back and say, okay, I've got these activities. How am I going to teach them? So then we're going to circle back to the strategies, which are big picture. So we're going to start with the activities first and your materials. So now plan about 5 activities that will help you teach that skill across your groups. And you remember, you're going to have 5 individual ones, but then it's going to be activities that you can either scaffold up or scaffold down. But if you start with the one in the middle, that bell curve, start with the one in the middle, you're going to either be able to scaffold it up or scaffold it back down. Make sense? Okay. And you can use your gels again to help you with activities. You want to be able to use every resource you have because smart teachers use their resources. You don't have to create the wheel because somebody's already created it. Know how to find it, how to work it, how to roll it. That's what you want to do. Find the activities.
The
Push toy? Charades.
the push tool.
For what, environmental or the, activity?
Because a push toy would be an environmental. What are you going to do with the push toy?
Teach them how to walk.
There you go.
Like teacher help. Yeah. So I was just thinking about something for a week.
The soft, we had them soft animals, them stuffed animals, them dolls. That's weight.
They'll walk away from
Like
the
these soft
situation.
a soft toy?
Let me think.
Basically, their own, you know how to do it on their own.
That's when they had soft. That has weight.
Instead of putting sorting toys, you can put
activities does Jess?
putting materials in proper places, and then we can use sorting toys as environmental strategy.
Who put toys inside? Because they're not putting it in the right place.
Yes, they do. The sorting toy. If they put the sorting toy, the sorting shape inside the box, that's putting it in its proper.
We're going to take a look at my work before we do the... Before we do our lesson plan, okay? So what difference, I want you all to see the difference in how you designate the different skills, okay? So would someone get that light closest to the kitchen door for me, please? Thank you, Sarah. Other one. Closest to the door, kitchen door. Yeah. So if you look at this, I chose the standard that the child will begin to express thoughts with sounds, words, and gestures, expressive language. And so the difference between exploring and emerging is that there's showing an increasing ability and shows progress. So they're so close, we left it. So if I'm looking at what that looks like, they're showing progress in understanding and following simple and multiple step directions. And I gave specific about what it would look like. Increasing abilities to understand and use language to communicate information, experiences, ideas, feelings, opinions, needs, questions, and for other varied purposes. And then I gave examples, and then progresses in clarity of pronunciation and towards speaking in, there's a typo there, speaking in sentences of increasing length and grammatical complexity. And then I gave examples of what that looks like. So then when I went down to my strategies, they're very big picture. Provides materials that encourage children to communicate non-verbally using motions and gestures. Provide activities that encourage children to demonstrate beginning oral language skills using sounds and words. Provide opportunities for the children to use sounds and words in social situations. And provide opportunities for the children to express themselves freely and creatively using sounds and words. So I'm going to do that with puppets, a tape recorder, which we don't use anymore, right? Variety of music, a toy telephone, and a variety of child-centered learning areas. And these are my activities. We're going to sing silly songs. We're going to play hide and seek with various toys. I'm going to ask the children simple questions during free choice play, and I'm going to tape record the children talking and play it back for them. I can still do that as the voice recorder on my cell phone and play it back to them. So that is going to, all of those things are going to help them and support them in expressing thoughts and sounds with words and gestures. So you want your standard, you want everything to, you want it to be like a pot of soup. And all of the ingredients go together to make this pot of soup. So everything below here goes together to support your standard. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Any questions? Takes a lot more thought to do something like this than it does just to take a blank lesson plan form and put some activities on it. Because the goal is for you to be able to take, so let's say you leave the child care center that you're at and you go somewhere else and they use a different curriculum. But if you know how to plan lessons, it doesn't matter what curriculum you use. You already know how to plan lessons. And then all you have to do is take the lessons that you've planned and put them on their form. And that's easy. You will, of course, learn the curriculum, but as long as you can plan activities, you can plan activities for anything. Any lesson plan, format, anything. Because you've got a tool in your toolbox that helps you connect the assessment with the outcome. Do you all see how the assessment is connected to the outcome? Who wants to articulate that for me? How is the assessment connected to the outcome? And why is that important? To connect, to link your lessons to development. Can be anybody. You didn't think I was going to ask you all of that, did you? Sarah's got her hand raised. Sarah?
I guess what the simplest way I can put it is like, how can you know where they're going if you don't know where they're at?
Yes! That's it. You can't move them if you don't know where they are. And you cannot effectively plan for the children in your care if you don't know what skills they're supposed to have. It's like driving a car blind. You're going to have a wreck. So you're not preparing your classroom effectively if you're not planning for what you want them to learn. And you won't know what that is. So if you don't use a Teaching Strategies Gold or you don't use a High Scope Core, you've got GELDS as a behavioral framework. Use that. That is what it is for. If you don't even know how to use that, take a simple milestone checklist and start there. So whenever you're planning, you should always plan your lessons from an assessment perspective so that you know the skill you're planning for, so that then you can plan effectively for it. So you're not just hit or miss, and you're planning for every skill that they're supposed to have, not just some of them that you may just think about, writing their name, recognizing their colors, their shapes, developing their gross motor skills. Because they also need to know, one of the biggest issues we have right now is children can't enter into play. They have no self-regulation. They have no communication. So how are they going to get that? If they're not getting it at home, they have to get it from us. But we need to know what that looks like in our developmental milestone framework, so then we know how to give it to them. Because the parents don't know how to give it to them because they don't have it. Because if they had it, they would give it to their children. Yes. So now, what do you do with this after you have it? So I gave you all a blank GELDS lesson plan template. So now you're just going to take, you can give it a theme if you want to. You don't have to. You could just even put the skill that you're going to teach. Not everything has to be about a cute theme. Parents don't care about a theme. It doesn't have to be. It could be a skill. And so now I want you to complete that lesson plan. Take the information that we just completed on our forms and create activities according to the learning domains for that skill. And of course you would need more activities than what we chose. But now I want you all to create a lesson plan. You can do a theme, and that skill can just be part of your theme under that particular domain. That is completely okay. You can use that skill. So does everyone have, are they familiar with this lesson plan template? So what you're going to do is you're going to plan your activities, and you're going to put your GELDS code, which would be the whatever SED 4.3A, whatever that is that aligns with that activity, you're going to put that under where it says GELDS. And when you get to the accommodations, let me know. And then also there's some extra room at the bottom. I want you to think about what changes would you make to your environment. So whether it's adding vocabulary language, whether it is adding more outdoor materials to support what you're doing in whatever lesson you're doing. Put all of that in there. All right? And I'm going to flip on the light so you guys can see, okay?
Made my brain freeze.
Made her brain freeze. Yes. There's more to planning for children than just putting activities on paper. And that's the biggest lesson I wanted everybody to get, is that there's more to planning than just putting activities on a piece of paper. That's nothing. That's easy to do. But truly understanding where your children are and what you need to support those children at those different developmental levels, that's the key. So that's what I want you all to take away from today. And a tool to use while you're doing your planning your lessons. And something that can support you in having more intentional lesson plans. Is there any questions about what we did today for lesson planning? You see how everything coexists together to make the big soup pot? Okay. If there are no more questions, you are free to go home for the rest of today. We've worked your brain enough. At our next Saturday class, bring your books back so we can start working on your resources. And the young lady that I was just meeting with, she was one of my students from my last class, and I was looking through her portfolio, and so she said the same thing. I said, I was just fussing about you all today that you were not done. I said, I want them to work on their work. She said, yes, yes, yes. As we go through the class, work on your work.
Do it again, right? Raven, do it. Raven, do it.
All right, ladies, if there's no other questions, I'll see you guys on our next Wednesday class.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
Wednesday.
Is it this Wednesday coming up or following?
You know what, let's look at our schedule and see.
Don't you got my location? Listen. Oh my goodness. All right. Flash on the phone. Yeah. I'm not gonna get right, you need to wash your mouth, go here. Oh, you don't you tell them put them clothes, they gonna my house today. I see her today, yeah, look, 6, 7, 8. 6, 5, 4.
Where's my skin?